more than a LeBron shirt. Fits me just fine. Now, let's talk about it. Now, KoKo B. Ware. KoKo B. Ware is one of the most iconic wrestlers in WWE's history. And iconic for different reasons. KoKo B. Ware is, we're still legendary, but he created his own path. And many people don't know anything about him. They don't know the truth about him. They don't know what's real. They don't know what's fake when it comes to KoKo B. Ware. A lot of people don't even know his legacy, his story, nothing. Now, he came up out of a small southern state, doing the things that he was doing. But the thing about KoKo B. Ware is the fact that I knew him when he was with NWA Wrestling, WCW, when he was part of the Pretty Young Thing. Pretty Young Thing. See, when he was teaming up with them and doing that as part of his stick, I was like, oh, okay, well, this makes sense. And he was doing his tag team and doing a couple of his matches over there, and KoKo B. Ware was he was, I think he was pretty much light years above the game as far as being skilled in the profession that he was in, as far as knowing where he wanted to go with his career. Most artists, they get there, they don't know what they want to do as far as the talent. He had a great idea on how to promote himself. They were a Pretty Young Thing. Him and what's his name, Stagger Lee. Because first they was sweet brown sugar, and he came in the Pretty Young Thing, and he had Norvell Austin. Because after they split, because he was with Bobby Eaton, who was in Midnight Express, and then came Stagger Lee, then Norvell Austin. Norvell Austin and KoKo B. Ware teamed up, and then they became PYT, Pretty Young Things. They used to wear these leather coats with the one glove, trying to be like Michael Jackson. It was the worst thing I ever seen. I used to laugh. And my uncle used to like them. The Pretty Young Things. PYT. Yeah, it was pretty nuts. So, pretty nuts at the time watching them. So, different things start to transpire because of, as we're watching the event, and things unfold, we're watching things and we're trying to see how things play out. And for KoKo B. Ware, his career just wasn't, it wasn't going the way it was supposed to go or should have went uh with WCW and the NWA and all that stuff. So when they beat the Young Bloods in a fight and all this stuff, and they was having semi success, the band just, they broke up, and that was basically it. They they broke up and just disbanded altogether. So KoKo B. Ware ended up going to the Mid South area down in Memphis, where he started doing his. He came up with him and his wife. They came up with KoKo B Ware. That's when he became KoKo B Ware. He was just Koko then. He came KoKo B Ware. And then he had a bird that he used to bring to the ring, a macaw named Frankie. And they used to have a Morris Day song out by Morris Day and the Time, the bird from Purple Rain. What? Hallelujah. And the bird be flapping, and he was the Birdman. So at the time, Vince McMahon was searching, going through the market, trying to search for new talent to bring into the Wrestling Federation at the time. And you guys might not know this, but there would not be a Hulk Hogan. There wouldn't be a Brutus the Barber Beefcake. It wouldn't be The Rock if it wasn't for KoKo B Ware. Just understand that. It wouldn't be these three if it wasn't for KoKo. Then I'm going to explain all of it to you. Now, while he was down in the Midwest region, wrestling and things of that nature, when he was first coming up down in Memphis, early in his career, young Hulk Hogan came in, and they wasn't getting no play because they from Florida. Him and Brutus the Barber, they come in. They ain't getting, the crowd is booing them. Boo! Boo! They get no love, right? So they didn't know any wrestling. They barely knew any moves, period. So Hulk Hogan asked KoKo B Ware, because he was cool with him. They was riding in the car and everything. And he was like, man, thanks, because he knew his way around. They didn't know where to go, what to do, how to move. KoKo B Ware took them everywhere with him. And they said, man, KoKo, can you, I want you to teach me how to do, wrist locks. And Hulk Hogan wanted to do drop kicks. He's like, I've been trying to do the drop kick. And Brutus was like, yeah. We want to do the drop kick. Yeah, you know how to do that drop kick? And he was like, you don't need to do drop kick. He said, Hogan never put that on DVD. He said, you a big man. He's like, you too big to be doing drop kick. He said, you need to fight like a big man. And that'll be your ticket. You need to learn big man moves. So I'm gonna show you what big men do and how big men wrestle. And I'll show you that. And he's like, Brutus, I'll teach you some moves, but they were green. He's like, they really knew nothing. So he was teaching them how to move about and how to do things. So when he went up to WWF, it was because of the work he done with Hogan and Brutus Barber Beefcake that really got him in the door. And Vince was at the time looking for talent. And he saw KoKo B Ware, and Hogan at the time was the man. Okay, at the time. He's the champion of the WWF at this time now. He's the World Wrestling Federation champion. And right away, he was like, KoKo, bring him up. So when he comes in there, he comes right in, he sees they brought him in as part of the superstars thing they was doing. Because see, at this point, they had already did like WrestleMania 1, 2, and probably I think they were on probably 2 at the time or something like that. But anyhow, Hulk Hogan was getting to be the biggest thing in wrestling. He had just did he was the heavyweight champion. He was moving along fine, doing what he's doing, and everybody is loving it. Right? Like everybody is loving where they're at so far. So they getting ready to build something here, really substantial, but they needed some extra talent to go along with it. So they found Honky Tonk Man. They found a couple of other wrestlers at that time that were new and fresh, and they wanted to bring them in. Like they brought in Macho Man at around the same time. So they brought in all this talent from the Midwest region, Memphis, that whole circuit, all these guys who were standouts. Macho Man was high on their list. So they wanted to bring in him, and they brought his brother in, Leaping Lenny Poffo, who, again, Lenny Poffo knew KoKo B. Ware for years. And they both were, Lenny comes up from a wrestling family. So KoKo came up through the wrestling circuits. They knew the ins and outs. They knew holds. They knew moves. They knew how to perform. He knew persona was definitely KoKo. So when they brought him in right away, he's one of the first people ever in wrestling that didn't have like Vince McMahon didn't give him a gimmick. He didn't give him a gimmick. He came in with that. His wife and him came up with that. Yeah, he was with a tag team with Owen Hart called High Energy down the road. But when he yeah, he came in the game and it was entirely different. Because it didn't matter if he won or lost. See, that was the thing about KoKo B. Ware is that the crowd loved him, the kids loved him. So he would come out and he would team up. He went against the Hart Foundation or whoever they gave him to come in the ring with. He wore these colorful sunglasses, these colorful outfits that his wife and them helped come up with the costume. They came up with all this, and Vince at first was like, "I love it," but he was like, "Let's see how well it goes, and then I'll change it to something else." He had to change KoKo B. Ware. That was who he was. He was the Birdman, and he was gonna be the Birdman forever, and nobody was gonna change that. Then he got to the point where he sung the title track, that Pile Driver, for the album, for the WWE, WWF at the time's music album. Now, there was a problem because that's when they had to start moving away from people's music and start because record company was just like, hey, you're using our songs, we got to start getting paid. And Vince is like, I'm not paying you for that because Hulk Hogan used to come out to the Eye of the Tiger. That used to be a Hulk Hogan's theme song, based off Rocky 3, dun, 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 dun. Hulk Hogan would come out, the Eye of the Tiger, that would be his whole theme. Everybody had a song of music of some artist that they knew. That stuff got cut out. Vince was like, that's it. And a real American was made for Hulk Hogan, and that became Hulk Hogan's song. I am a real American. That was his theme song to come out with. Then they realized something. We could make an album and make some money. Lots of money. So they decided to come out with an album. They came out with Pile Driver. And Honky Tonk Man had a song. He's just a honky tonk man. I'm cool. I'm cocky. I'm bad. So everybody had a song. Pile Driver became KoKo Beware song because he couldn't use the song The Bird by Morris Day and the Time no more. Vince loved him. As much as people say Vince is a big racist and all this stuff, Vince loved KoKo Beware. He loved the way he understood what they were trying to do. And that don't mean that Vince isn't a racist. Doesn't mean that at all. It just means he loved KoKo Beware and loved what that KoKo was a professional and he did everything he was supposed to do. He was a well gentleman, everything was going well, and he faced Harley Race and beat Harley Race in a match in which Harley Race was not going to lose to KoKo Beware. He wasn't going to push KoKo over. And that was the thing. Like, I'm not gonna lose. I'm the greatest wrestler ever in the world. He really felt like that. Harley Race was a mean son of a you know what. And he told Vince, no way in hell I'm gonna go on national television and let some N-word beat me. Now, they hardly had to lose to him, and it wasn't gonna be on TV. So they changed it because it was gonna be on Saturday night's main event. So they had a house show where Harley Race lost to KoKo, and they moved the television event on Saturday night's main event. Nikolai Volkov versus KoKo Beware. But after the match was over, Harley Race gave KoKo Beware his props. Did Harley Race die? I don't even know. I don't remember Harley Race died. Yeah, well, that was the thing. At that time, they needed to come up with a new type of gimmick or to push the wrestlers over. They needed to have somebody that could come in and help out and do certain things that they needed to get done. And Butch Reed, you know, worked with KoKo Beware, and KoKo Beware lost to him in WrestleMania 3. KoKo was the guy that was going to have the crowd and put on a good match and get the guy over. You know, like that Greg the Hammer Valentine came his comeback fight. You know, he ended up beating KoKo Beware, uh, Mr. Perfect. He came in, beat up on KoKo Beware. You know, it's like the Undertaker, KoKo Beware. You know, so all of these things were happening a lot, and KoKo was a little frustrated with how his career was being played out because during this time he was uh he was being used. You know, it's like, hey, you guys are kind of using me, you know, and that's cool that I'm helping these other guys and pulling them over, but I want to win some too. We need a new angle for me. Like, what's my angle here? You know, I'm still a fan favorite, and that was the truth because everybody loved KoKo Beware. It wasn't like the wrestling fans, even if the wrestling fans booed him, he had the parents and the kids. They wanted to see KoKo Beware. He would have the whole place rocking. They loved KoKo Beware. I don't know what it was, because he had a bird named Frankie. The kids love KoKo Beware. Okay, it's like New Day. New Day rock. They loved him. So it was always gonna be like that. So he got in an argument. They were on a European tour, and they wanted KoKo Beware to lose and do something and at a certain end of the thing, and it was already messed up because he had already told him, like, they had already worked out how the match was gonna go, and he came in and changed it at the last minute. Jim Troy, who was the WWE, who was WWF at that time executive, and that was Vince McMahon's like buddy. Like, as far as he the one that came up with the idea, we're gonna go try out pay per view. We're gonna do this. He was the guy that was the business engine of making a lot of things happen for WWF. But he was a known racist. So during this conversation, KoKo Beware is having a conversation with him. And he in an argument with him, and he's like, look, it's not working. KoKo's like, look, I've been wrestling and I've been in this business longer than you probably been alive. And I know what I'm doing. And he's like, no, 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 no. I'm the boss. I tell you what to do. Use the M word in the argument with KoKo Beware. And KoKo Beware beat the living crap out. And now, once that was done, they were over in Europe. So when he came back home and everything, KoKo Beware was fired. So after a month, Jim Troy, he resigned from the company, period. Well, they he resigned because they were bringing KoKo back. You see, KoKo was coming back. Vince isn't stupid. Vince is like, look, I punished him. All right, I fired him. He know that he's not supposed to touch any executives here. He cool now. We got that taken care of. Don't worry about it. He won't touch nobody else. We got that covered. Don't worry about it. You ain't got to go nowhere. That was his whole take on everything. His whole thing was, you ain't got to go nowhere, man. I got this. It's my show. So anyway, Coco came back and he started doing shows again, doing tag team matches, and he had a very good career. Um, and then he just his contract was coming up. They let him win like three more times. They told him like, we just don't have any more angles for you. You've worked with the company. You kept your head down. You had that pail and bucket working mentality, and it just didn't have any more angles. Vince was not going to champion him, and he was going to hold the fact that you know what happened with Troy over his head forever. He teamed up with Owen Hart and all that stuff when they were going against the head shrinkers, and then you know he came back as the Blue Blazer that time, and he was going. They had to cancel that because Owen ended up dying. He was with the company for a while, and then he went to US WA wrestling in '92 because they had him on use for him. So he went over there, and for the 3 years, he was killing it over there. He became the world champion twice. He did really good over there for the 3 years it was there. Then he came back into wrestling, and that's when Owen Hart died in '99. And they didn't need KoKo B no more after that. Then he went back to Memphis wrestling, and yeah. But during his come up, he saw The Rock, Rocky Johnson, which we will get into Rocky Johnson in a minute. KoKo B was working with The Rock. A lot of people didn't know that. The Rock was finna quit wrestling. He was sick of it because he was tired of starving, being broke. And he said, "Man, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of being broke. I can't do this no more. I'm not gonna make it." And Coco told him, he's like, "Are you crazy? Why would you quit this?" He's like, "Look, you got a baby face. You keep working out. You go to the gym, keep working out, and keep working on your wrestling game. You got a baby face. The girls are screaming for you right now. You got that baby face, and you keep working out, and you still got that baby face. Believe me, even if you are not, good of a wrestler, the girls are still screaming for you when you come out. So even if you win or lose, you got the girls screaming for you. Pretty soon, you're gonna get called up by WWF or WWE at the time." And he was like, "Nah, they ain't gonna call me. And, my dad burnt too many bridges up there. They're not gonna call me up." He said, "Look, they're gonna look at you as more than black when you go up there. They're gonna come, and they're gonna come knocking." And one of the last times he saw me, he said, "You will never believe what happened. The WWE is calling me up." And he said, "Well, go ahead and make your money, man. Go and make your money." And he was like, and look at him now. The man was about to quit wrestling, and Coco Beware talked him out of it. What Rock's dad do to the WWE? We're going to get into that a whole nother day. We'll get into that on another day. I don't know if he was the first wrestler. I know He was on the first card on Raw. I don't know if he was the first match. And he helped put over Yokozuna. He helped put over a lot of fighters, a lot of wrestlers, a lot of great guys. I know tons of wrestling info. Tons of wrestling info. Yeah, we know about Bruiser Brody. It was sad what happened to him in Puerto Rico. Yeah, Master P got a lot of money out of the WCW and Ted Turner. When Eric Bischoff decided to hire and bring in the No Limit Soldier, that was when wrestling was at like its all time low. They were trying to enter because what they were trying to do was have a background for these wrestlers that were coming out that was black. They didn't know how to promote black rappers, so they wanted to use hip hop to bring it in. And then they was like, "Oh, we're gonna have the West Texas Rednecks versus the Master P's Soldiers, the No Limit Soldiers." And they had, "Oh, here's some of Master P wrestlers. Here come the No Limit Soldiers. Here's Swole and another guy." They let Master P name these wrestlers too. That was funny. Here's Swole and another guy. I'm like, who names some wrestler Swole? Oh God. It was the worst thing in it. I hate rap. Rap is crap. I like Willie Nelson, Rich Petty, still the king. They call me a redneck. I say that's a beautiful thing. The only thing I can't stand is a bunch of crap. I hate rap. Yeah, they were hilarious. The West Texas redneck. I wanted to buy their record. Oh yeah. So Coco, he went to the Hall of Fame, WWE Hall of Fame 2009. He deserved, well deserved, to be in the Hall of Fame. Oh, that's the least thing. Everybody seemed to have seen Teddy Long's interview. Teddy Long was a good guy. I mean, in the game and doing this stuff. Ric Flair rarely called anybody the N word. Ric Flair was too scared to call somebody the N word. He had to really not like you to say something like that. Now, if this was Ole Anderson, you heard it all through the building. Wrestling was it was one of the most racist places you could ever be in. But it was the only show in town. It ain't like I'm gonna go quit and go work at another wrestling federation. It was only about two or three of them, and then some of them work for a couple of years and fall apart and get bought out by somebody else. People just had to toe their line, deal with it, and get their check. You know, they ain't had time to be you know, doing some things. Like I said, it's a lot of stories, but you don't even want to know. People getting their nose bit off, people being punched in the face, like real fights. A lot of real stuff happened. They praise Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant was a big racist. It's a lot of things y'all don't know, man. It's a lot of things y'all don't know. They honor Andre and everything else, and Andre was good and everything else, but Andre the Giant was a big racist, and he talked very bad about black people, and because he was like, I'm Polish, and I the black. He's like, I'm sorry, with blacks and Polish. And he's like, look, man, I don't care about none of that. Yeah, Andre was bad. And it was like when he gets drunk, he starts talking crazy. But Andre the Giant was a scary man. Like he was scared of people. Yeah, that was Haku who bit the nose off. Yeah, that's the Rock's uncle. And that's who really they kind of really protected the Rock once he got into his dad was the reason why. And that's why you think they do that angle now with the Rock. They don't push his father. They push his grandfather, his Hawaiian side. They don't push his black side. They push Rock Hawaiian side. That's what got him over. It's Samoan. All his roots to his Samoan roots. They do that. Even though his daddy black. There's a real problem there. Trust me. It's a real problem there. That's why he was able to come up so fast. And they were like, we can use this guy. So when The Rock became heavyweight champion, when he beat Mankind, and then he went dirty, and it was a changing of the guard. It was like, we got a black heavyweight champion in wrestling. But we really didn't. Even though he used that angle. No, this is the people's belt. It's the people's champion. It's The Rock. Okay, now back to the people. All right, now focus back. That's enough on the belt. Now get back to the people's champ, The Rock. It's the people's elbow. It was like he was fighting for the people. No, that wasn't necessarily true. Like I told you, Andre know who to say that to and who not to. If Andre was afraid of you, he wouldn't say stuff like that. He apologized. He's like he apologized for he said it. He wasn't saying it at that person. He was talking to somebody else, and he was just back there talking to him, having a conversation, and he was just dropping N bombs. Like, whoa, whoa. And then the brother came up, went in there and checked him. Brother went back and was like, look, man, you dropping the N word like crazy. Like, I ain't even here. And and he said, you know what? They was like, man, you know what? He's drunk. Don't worry about it. So next thing you know, Andre tell him, you know, you know what? F you. And all hell broke loose. All hell broke loose after that. He had said that to the wrong black man. And see, ever since then, Andre was afraid of him. And if Andre is afraid of you, believe me, there was other people Andre was completely, definitely afraid of, and he wouldn't cross that line. Oh no, Andre has said some really bad things about blacks and before because of where he's from and his country and all this stuff, and he said some really bad things about blacks. But if he did like you, it wasn't like he wouldn't wrestle with blacks and nothing like that. But he said some things, So if in his day and time and everything where he was from and all that stuff. But yeah, he said some things. Yeah. Oh yeah, Bad News Brown was definitely finna put them hands on him. There was a couple of people finna put their hands on Andre. It's a bunch of people that didn't play that. And there was some people you had to, look out for. Like The Rock. When The Rock first got there, all the racist stuff they was doing to him when he came in there. The white wrestlers called him the N word and all kind of stuff, and was talking crazy in the locker room. Ron Simmons had to be the one to come in. Damn! Nobody messed with Ron Simmons because one, Ron Simmons was one of the wrestlers, one of the very few wrestlers who never had taken steroids. Never. From WCW to now, Ron Simmons was one of the strongest wrestlers ever. Strongest wrestlers ever. Natural athlete. Ron Simmons picked up one wrestler, and when he was in WCW, he was still green. He picked up one wrestler and flipped him from one end of the ring all the way over, and that guy was like 230 something pounds. He threw him like he was a piece of paper. Threw him literally from one corner all the way to the other side. They were like, dude, we gotta work with you. You gonna kill somebody. So yeah, he was in Doom with Butch and Butch Reed, the natural. He ended up being the natural Butch Reed. Look, they was something else. But he was so strong. Ron Simmons they had to work with him to try to tell him you're gonna have to come down on your power because you were so strong. No, Ahmed Johnson couldn't hold the title because he was so stupid. Ahmed Johnson was rushed to the top. Vince saw his body and said, this guy is gonna be the one that's gonna be in the championship fights and everything. He's like, look at his body. He's an Adonis. This is gonna be it. He's gonna be the mountain. He's the guy I need to be the villain. He's gonna be great. could not make a promo to save his life. The man was the worst promo maker in the history. I mean, people were laughing on the live events. They are laughing at him doing his promo. I will. I'm telling you, on June 3rd. Ooh, you got me like a locomotive, man, and you gon' get ran over. Cause everybody know when y'all get mad, ooh, something bad go happen. It was so bad. It was so bad. His monologues was so bad. I think somebody put them all on YouTube. If you go watch those monologues, you're gonna crack up laughing. They're that funny. He couldn't wrestle. That was the thing. Ahmad Johnson, not only that, he couldn't wrestle. He couldn't wrestle. I messed up a lot. Messed up a lot of things, man. Talking so weirdly. Oh, somebody must have just came in and didn't hear the rest of the video. Well, that's the thing. Wrestling has been one of the most racist and prejudiced sports ever. Like everybody in charge is all racist. That's how it was. I mean, you look at the McMahon Senior. McMahon Senior. I mean, Jim McMahon. I mean, Jim McMahon. I said Jim McMahon. Mm-mm. Vince McMahon. I know. I'm thinking of the Chicago Bears quarterback. Vince McMahon and Vince Senior. Vince Senior was the biggest racist there was. Didn't like a lot of blacks. Ole Anderson was probably more racist than Senior. But Vince Senior knew one thing. He was in when he was running things. He was doing old time wrestling where it was the bigger guys. Wrestlers are supposed to be over 6'6". He would never do nothing. No 5'10" wrestlers. Wrestlers had to be something bigger than life. They had to be like the circus. So Andre the Giant, the Eighth Wonder, all these big wrestlers. They gotta be massive. That's how he used to do the wrestling in all his cars back in the day. Olin Anderson said he was racist in court. He could have won a court case. He could have won a court case where against all these black former wrestlers sued Ole Anderson. And they won because Ole Anderson, the judge, was like, how do you feel about black wrestlers being in there? And Ole was 100% honest. Ole Anderson said, if black people didn't buy tickets, I would not put them on my car. I wouldn't have them on none of my matches. You didn't know that about Ole Anderson? Oh man, dude, you must have been in space. Ole Anderson, he was so racist. They had to get Ole out of there. Oli went before the judge and told him, I wouldn't have a black guy in my arena. I don't want them around, nothing. If it wasn't for them selling, if they didn't sell tickets and people coming to see him, I wouldn't book them on my show. And the judge was like, well, I gotta put the case in their hands now. You just basically gave up the case. So they won. All of them, they was multi-million-dollar lawsuit. He didn't even care. He was not gonna sit there and say he liked black people in front of the judge. That was not gonna happen. Oli was like, I'm gonna be all the way to the core. Did not like blacks and was not gonna ever change. No, they weren't gonna ever promote Harlem Heat the way they should have. And they were stupid. They were so stupid. So dumb. Well, see, they had another problem too. Ric Flair and a lot of the wrestlers there, they didn't agree with the way Flair's philosophy was. And it's always wrestlers should never, if you're a professional wrestler, there's no way you should be booking professional wrestling fights. No, Macho Man didn't sleep with Stephanie McMahon. That didn't happen. When you're a wrestler and you're booking wrestling fights and booking matches, you're going to put yourself in at number one. Why wouldn't you? That's the thing. Why wouldn't you put yourself at number one? It don't make no sense. So Ric Flair was the champion and he was booking matches. Now, is he gonna book himself to lose the belt? Hell no. So Jim Cornette was helping him out, and they were working with Flying Brian. I'll never forget that. And they had a good angle. They were gonna use the angle that Vince and them used for Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And they were gonna try to make him into a star because they thought he could athletically. Flying Brian Pillman, he could do everything. He looked like the Beach Boy kid with the nice curly blonde. He wasn't taking off at first, and they wanted to get him to where he needed to be, where they could build him up to a star. But he just wasn't there yet. Well, Vince Russo is a racist too, and he lost a lawsuit. Well, actually, they settled out of court. When he came over to WCW, Vince Russo had a meeting, told everybody there who was Hispanic and Japanese, he's like, first of all, this is America, and I'm only going to work with Americans. I don't want no Latinos. I don't want any Japanese fighters. I don't want none of them. Get rid of them all. So J.J. Dillon, who was the booker there, they were calling up all these wrestlers who was Latino. There was no more of the Rey Mysterios, all of them. They were just immediately cut out of WCW. said, "I'm only working with Americans." My favorite tag team was the Hart Foundation. I used to love to see them go up against the British Bulldog. That used to be a good match. Well, they had to learn some things. Yeah, but he was very prejudiced towards Mexican Latinos and Japanese fighters, the Asian fighters that come over in the Japanese market. He knew nothing about the history about wrestling. Vince Russo is was terrible, terrible. He kissed up to Vince and all these guys because when he was a little kid, he was put in there with all these other wrestlers, all the greats from back in the day. He was able to be around them. So he swindled Vince into believing that I know something. And Vince gave him a shot and it didn't work out. And Vince basically fired him and he acted like he quit. It's like if somebody fires you or gets rid of you and say you fired and you tell them you was gonna quit anyway, that don't make no sense. At least not to me. But if it's all white, it's all right. No, Vince Russo, let me tell you about Vince. Vince Russo is a different individual altogether. Vince Russo knows how to promote outside of the ring. He doesn't know how to do a match. He couldn't tell them, okay, y'all do the match and then y'all work a finish out. The wrestling matches are terrible because he doesn't know anything about wrestling. He knows about sideshow gimmicks. That's all he knew about, and that's all he thought wrestling was about. That's why Russo comes and goes because that's cool when you got all this stuff happening outside the ring. But if there's no real storyline to it, you know, what are we talking about? Like, what are we actually doing here? It's not working. So when Russo got there, things started to change. Like they had it where Goldberg was their biggest commodity, and he basically came out of nowhere. And Ted Turner was sponsoring everything, so Ted Turner was writing big checks to everybody there. People were paid through the nose, like all the big wrestlers. They were getting paid large checks. They had large contracts. So to try to change everything, they brought in Vince Russo. Russo comes in and he's going to change the game. He was really just overspending money. Didn't know what he was doing. They're putting on all these big elaborate shows, and it wasn't even wrestling matches anymore. Like they had Hulk Hogan fighting Billy Pearman or somebody trying to get him over and push the Billy Pearman angle, and it was just completely ridiculous. And I'm like, I went to a pay per view, and I just saw Hulk Hogan come to the ring in a big old truck, big old low rider, drove it up there. They got Man Cow there. Hogan comes in there screaming and yelling, walks out there, starts beating him up, throwing him into a pole. It was no match at all. And then he runs to the back. Hogan just chases him to the back. That's the match. There was no wrestling at all in the entire match. And they would always do these little gimmicks and be like, well, instead of waiting till the last event to show Goldberg when he closes the show out, we should show Goldberg at least 3 times during the show. Like you never know when Goldberg's gonna be seen, or so they'll have these little things done, this security thing, and then Goldberg would be there, spear somebody, take off the uniform. It's like, oh, okay, there it is. Okay, now this is what we're gonna see. Something fresh, something new all the time. Yeah, I used to like Doink the Clown. He was something else. Almost time to take a nap. Vince Sr. would at least give you a chance. He came up in a very prejudiced, racist family background and the people that are associated with his organization. But at least he will give you an opportunity to make money. And definitely will look out for you if you are definitely somebody that has done your job to help him make money. Like The Rock. He was like, look, the guy came up hard, and he made it out there, and now The Rock is like family. The Rock is family. To Vince and everybody there, The Rock is look where he's at. He never gonna have a problem with Vince. Yeah. Oh yeah, man. It was a whole thing where there's a lot of coke being used, and that's what got Ole to fire Mean Mark Callis. Yep, the skyscrapers. Mean Mark Callis and Dangerous Dan Spivey. Dangerous Dan Spivey is a man that can never get fired from wrestling. I don't know what it was, who he knew. He couldn't be fired. That's one thing about Dangerous Dan Spivey. He would not be fired. They kept hiring him. They would not let the man be fired. Well, Ole Anderson told me Mark Callis was getting drunk, hanging out with the people he's supposed to be getting ready to wrestle. Dangerous Dan Spivey didn't like him or me, Mark Callis, and they supposed to come to Chicago to wrestle. And Dangerous Dan Spivey said, "Oh, it was about some money and all this." Dangerous Dan Spivey was drunk. He'd been doing coke. He was shooting up roids, and he was out of control. He was talking about money and all this stuff. So he was walked out on the show. He was fired and brought back. He went to like WWF and went to another wrestling. He left them for the same type of reasons: coke and dope, shooting up steroids, and partying like crazy. Me and Mark got fired though, like right after that Road Warrior match and everything else. Ole Anderson fired him, told him, "You'll never make a dime in this business. You don't have what it takes. You're boring. You're never gonna make a dime in this business. You need to find something to do." And he goes to WWF and they transform him to the Undertaker. The rest is history. Ole Anderson told him, "You would never make a dime in this business. You might as well just quit. I'm finna fire you, and you might as well just quit because you're not gonna make a dime in this business." And he went over to WWE, and that was it. I was the best wrestler there was, dude. You wasn't gonna beat me in wrestling. That's one thing that was for sure. Nobody was gonna beat me in wrestling. I was too good. I anticipated people's moves. That was my gift. I knew how to make you make moves and take moves that you thought were there, but they're not gonna be there for you. I'll give them my neck. I'll be like, "I'll give me," because I know how to slip out of any chokehold you attempt because you're not gonna get it. You think it's gonna be good. When you go for the headlock, I'll be like, "Yep, there it is." Or I can get out, tuck the neck in, slip out. Then I got the whole back, and I can just like, which move do I want today? Ah, this one. Yeah. I'm gonna be like, do I want this to be over now, or do I want to work on some new stuff? I'll work on some new stuff. So let me just try this move and get him there and see what he does, and then we'll move. My finishing move was the figure four leg lock. I would hit you with a kabuki leg lock, which means I would take your leg in between mine, put my knee on your knee, and drive your knee right to the ground. Pow! Tear your leg up. I mean, it's amazing that people ain't injured as bad as we used to do. You know how they say don't do those moves on television? We really shouldn't have been doing those moves. I was doing a kabuki leg lock and tearing people up. Hell no, I wasn't trying out for no WWE. I'm like, they do what they doing up there. I ain't gonna lift up no 200-pound person and slam them. If I lift up a 200-pound person and slam them, they have really done me some misjustice. Hmm. Okay, this has been interesting. The angle lock. Ooh. I didn't want to wrestle for my school. I don't even know if we had a wrestling team. All right, let me see. I think I'm almost solving this thing here. All right, we're almost there. Let me see what I can do. Kind of close. Hmm. Well, that's not good. Hmm. I'm trying. Who was my favorite diva? Oh yeah, Val Venus. They had to shut that down. The parents complained about Val Venus, even though Val Venus came on in the nighttime or the late evening time because they didn't want him on there. Yeah, well, you can hit up the Cash App and donate to the page. My name is Carcino, of course. I did this for my late fans, my European fans, so you guys can hear all this stuff happen in Europe. Do you know the biggest incident in WWE history happened coming from Europe? Somebody slipped them some abstinence, and man, things got crazy. Well, okay, publicizing that's not really the biggest thing ever. Do you know that whole Montreal thing got blown out of proportion because Bret Hart is a complete idiot? You about to ruin the entire business by going to the press to talk about it like this is a scripted event, and you're sitting here going to the press. I got robbed. It's like, dude, this is not like the NFL game. You mean you got robbed? Like who cares about that? Nobody cares that you got robbed. Like who is you? This thing is scripted. So you about to open the whole world up to the business. He pissed a lot of people off with that. And it ticked a lot of people off because he had already signed a contract to leave the company. It's like, dude, you're leaving the company for an extra $1 million. Okay? You said it to 1.2 million you were getting a year. You're getting 2 point some million to go to WCW, and you took the money and you were the heavyweight champion of the world. So instead of he was like, come and just give the title away. And that's stupid. Why would they allow Bret Hart to do that? But he was like, "No, I'll come on Raw and I'll just hand the title." But Vince McMahon didn't trust Eric Bischoff, and that was never gonna happen. Vince was like, changed it, and as soon as he put the sharpshooter on Bret Hart, the referee checked him and then just rung the bell and just screwed him over. Bret didn't want to lose in his hometown. That's funny, Sam. So yeah, so I stayed up talking to my fans in the UK. Shouts out to all my homies in Leeds. What's up, Leeds? Trying to figure this thing out. One day I'll figure this thing. I don't understand this thing, but I will figure it out. Oh, all right, we're going somewhere. We're close, ladies and gentlemen. We're close. Mm, all these things are in the wrong place. Mm, that works for me. Mm, not quite. Mm, okay, that works for me. What do y'all think? That works for you? That works for me. I can fix it now. Yeah, why not? Let's go in there and fix it. Oh my goodness. It's completely. Oh, that boy is something else. What can he do? What's up, Kansas City? Done. I came on here so my people who stay up late get to see me and we get to talk. Now, all you guys here can definitely donate to the page by clicking the link in the description box and hit up the Stream Lab and donate. Let me give credit and props to those who did it today. Chris Monroe, King Sizzle, Computer Blue, Cal, Calvin McGee, Tremaine, who always show love, Max Robinson, unbelievable.